Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. I'm Mark, and for those of you who don't know, I've got a couple of small YouTube channels out there. And I say small, I mean small. Like my bigger one is like 13,500, smaller one's like 1,500. So small channels, nowhere near as big as some of the channels that we'll be talking about today. But what I wanted to do today was talk about some issues, some things that have come up out there in the YouTube community on various sides of the coin. And so I kind of want to bring a few different pieces of this together, pieces from my backpacking side and pieces from the automotive side, and kind of bring them together and just open some eyes to what's going on out there with YouTube videos, with government intervention, kind of government overstepping a little bit, and the liability that posting certain videos is going to expose creators and content creators too. So let's talk about kind of where this is coming from. So on the backpacking side, we've had several channels now. The biggest and most kind of publicized one was Nate and Kara, or Kara and Nate. It's a travel channel that is on YouTube that has over 3 million subscribers. So a big channel, a big following. They got fined. I don't remember the exact amount. I think it was $1,000 for filming in a national park. And following that, there were some court things that went on. Supreme Court deemed it unconstitutional for them to be fined for that. So I think their fine actually went away. However, in October of 2022, new laws were imposed, and these were set for national parks, national forests. BLM has a hand in this as well. So Department of Interior, a bunch of different pieces there, and some state parks, some local parks also have these caveats that you've got to make sure that you're aware of. And so essentially what happened is they have now imposed a law which states commercial filming must be permitted. And the law covers all national parks, all national forests. There's no delineation between me going out there with 1,500 followers, even if I had 1,000 subscribers. If you're at the point where you are monetizing on YouTube, you are a commercial filmer at that point. And what you're doing is commercial. It's there to make money. And so that is now covered under this law. And so you've got to get permits. But on top of that, you actually have to, the permitting system isn't this easy to work through permitting system that covers any national park. Each national park has its own permitting system. And it's a long, arduous process and expensive. So depending on how many days you're out there, it's going to cost you per day. There's like an upfront application fee, completely non-refundable. Even if they deny your claim and say, no, you're not filming here, that $300 or whatever you sent in is theirs. It's theirs for processing it. But it gets into actually having park member support during that time. So they will send people out to see what you're doing and charge you for that time. On top of that, you've got to carry insurance. So they're like, Jevin Dovey did a video where he talked about going and doing some filming in Death Valley. First of all, in Death Valley, huge park, I would say 95% of it does not authorize any filming at all at this point. No filming is allowed. There are certain areas, certain boxes within the confines of the park that you can apply for a permit. And it's a little bit ridiculous. It was going to be $50 an hour for them to come out and see what you were doing. And you had to carry $1 million of insurance, with the United States of America listed as as one of the claimants on your insurance. So a lot going into that. And then we look at the other side. If we look at the automotive side, so far I know of several, but two big issues that have arisen from people posting videos. And these weren't necessarily videos that were posted and then a week later, a month later. These are like videos that have been up for 3-5 years that have then sparked what has happened. So Kevin Van Voris recently posted some videos about his house being raided, his entire family, essentially, his brother, his wife, having all their stuff confiscated. And it was due to street racing videos that were posted, I want to say like 5 years ago. So he was charged, convicted. He did a plea agreement just because of the time that would have taken going through the whole process. So now he's got to see a parole officer or a whatever pretty much monthly. He has to submit to drug testing and a whole bunch of other things, all because of a video he posted years and years ago. The thing is, like, anyone who knows him or knows of him in the Amarillo area, he's pretty much a pillar of the community. He owns a gym. He's a very positive speaker. He does a lot of charity events. He does a lot of fundraising. And so for this to happen to someone like that, it isn't like he's a thug out there causing a bunch of problems. And yeah, just to have that happen is kind of crazy. Then additionally, on the automotive side, you've got Street Speed 717, who got fined $50,000 for filming on private property when he drove through. He had I think it was his TRX. I think he had a Dodge TRX, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was his TRX, and he drove through a small creek. Like, I'm talking a small creek. The tires were not even submerged. It wasn't up to the wheel. It was just the tread of the tire going through the water. He was fined $50,000 for damaging a water ecosystem and a whole bunch of other crap that went along with it. The point that I'm trying to make here is that there's a lot of liability out there right now, and even if you're on private property, you are doing things that you think are good. You're just filming yourself doing something or talking. You don't have a whole camera crew out there. You don't have a big entourage with you. It's just you. What you post absolutely can come back to bite you. Make sure that you're aware of what's going on. And so what does this mean for my channels going forward? Well, it definitely means you have to be more careful. You know, is it going to get to the point where, you know, if you go and you watch a lot of automotive channels, they go to Mexico to go and do some spirited driving. So are we going to go to places that resemble national parks and not actually say that's where you are? Is that how you get around it? I don't know. The landmarks are going to be so unmistakable that's probably not an option. But also going through the process of getting permits is going to be, for a channel like me, it just doesn't make sense. I don't make anywhere near enough money off of YouTube to justify spending hundreds and maybe even thousands of dollars on permits to go to Yosemite or Kings Canyon or the Smokies. Now think about that. The Smokies, Shenandoah, these are along the Appalachian Trail, and people film along the Appalachian Trail every single year. People do vlogs of their entire thru hike. Those people could now be fined. They didn't get a commercial permitting system. They didn't go through the permitting system. They didn't get a permit. They didn't get authorization to film. And if they are on YouTube and monetized, the government can and has come after people. So it's getting into one of those things. Is this the government overreaching? Is this getting to the point where, look, enough is enough, stop? I mean, some of the regulations, some of the rules that are coming out on, you know, this permitting stuff, on the automotive side with EPA regulations and other things that are coming out, the government is definitely, in my opinion, taking a hard line, and they've overstepped what's a reasonable bound, in my opinion. And so now we, the smaller creators, the smaller content creators out there, are paying a price because we don't have the means and we don't have the ability to spend thousands and thousands of dollars and plan things out months in advance. I mean, some of the permit system, I looked it up, I went through and tried to figure it out. You've got to, it asks things like, you know, how many crew, what type of equipment, any heavy equipment, anything over a certain weight, how many pack animals, how many animals will be on the scene, how many actors. It's just, it is set up for a full-on film production. It is set up for MGM or, you know, one of the big companies to go out there and film a big production. It is not, the intent should not be for the small YouTuber that's out there with a GoPro walking around talking about what they're seeing and sharing their experience with the world. That is not what it's about. It's just, some of this has gotten to the point of just being a little bit crazy. And, you know, I see channels out there. There's one that I follow that's got a Supra that does a lot of racing, a lot of street racing. And, man, I'm holding my breath for him because while they're saying they're in Mexico, they're not doing a great job of blurring out all the signs that they're going by. And something like that, I feel at this point, is going to come back to bite people. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, leave your thoughts and comments down below. It's got to piss you off. It pisses me off. So I want to know. Vent down below. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what we can do about it. So I'm going to put a link down below on something you can do about it, and that's reaching out to your local representation, to your Congress and senators, and let's get them aware that we're not cool with this. This is not cool. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys checking this out, and yeah, that is what it is. See you guys.